Hi, my name is Chris with Oxinane, and welcome. I'd like to identify that this message today is for IT and business owners announcing the new Zero Trust security solutions that are now available to you only through a handful in the United States, including our client with CHIPS. This message is for anyone managing critical infrastructure identified by Homeland Security for any size, including enterprises in banking, medical, finance, data centers, telecommunication, first responders, city and government infrastructures, police and fire departments, power plants, just to name a few. I'd like to introduce you to our client, Tony Chiappetta at CHIPS, founder and principal of CHIPS. They're a technology success provider covering Minnesota, the Midwest, and the entire United States since 2001. Tony, welcome.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me. So as Chris said, my name is Tony Chiappetta, president of CHIPS. We're a technology success provider headquartered in Shoreview, Minnesota. And as a technology success provider, we're helping our clients further their success of their organization by shoring up areas of security, network stability, and ultimately bring in resources and strategy so that they can take technology and use that to move them forward and achieve their business goals. You know, a lot of you out there, whether you're a business owner or an IT professional, are probably keenly aware of the modern threats that are facing organizations today. The FBI says that cybersecurity is the #1 threat to small and medium-sized businesses across the United States. And, you know, if you look at the landscape, there's hackers from nation state actors all the way down to the teenager on summer break that needs something to do, and they're passing along ransomware as a service, hoping to make some money over the summer by somebody accidentally clicking on that and falling jeopardy to that. So, you know, these IT professionals are usually a little freaked out about that because they know all the mainstream products that are built on defense in depth are really not 100% effective. And it's just a matter of time before the other shoe drops and they get that attacker in their network, locked up their files, and now they're not only their data, but also their brand reputation and their name is being held for ransom out on the internet. That's the last thing that you want to see as a business owner, because that could be the end of your organization. Who's gonna go back to a bank that had an intruder inside of their network and did who knows what with their data and access to all that money? Cybersecurity is super important, not only to protect the data, but to make sure businesses are stable and moving forward. Thankfully, there's technology that is now available to, as Chris said, critical infrastructure. And you know, this is technology that's not brand new. It's actually been around and was specifically invented for the federal government as early as 1997. And so it's time tested and 100% effective. The only preventative products out there that can actually ensure that a breach doesn't occur in the first place. So gone are the days of having to frantically analyze what's going on, chase the attackers and firefight and try to, you know, back them out of the system before they get to the data. Now you can actually ensure they never get there. We recently had a great success story, at least it was for us. Local sheriff's department had a very evasive malware within their network. It wasn't even a ransomware, but it was something that was stealing information across their network for 4 weeks. And their IT group was baffled on what to do. They did everything from take computers off the network and replace them, reload them, and you know, everything they could think of. 4 weeks later, they still were non-functional, and plugging a new machine within the network found itself attacked within 5-10 minutes. They finally got referred to us. We had a technician show up on a Thursday afternoon, and by Friday evening had the entire network secured, and they were back to their operational level prior to that event. So this is a product that, again, is 100% effective and is actually the only product that's preventative rather than reactive. And you know, detect and respond is what you'll hear in the mainstream cybersecurity market. With this, you don't have to go to that level. So this is kind of our product that most everyone can relate to. Everybody knows that antivirus is something you need in a network. This is that step beyond antivirus. It's similar but different. Just looking at the landscape for the endpoints are growing exponentially, and the landscape is going to be more endpoints, especially with cloud-based servers and resources, and really is becoming that attack vector to get to data, get to into the infrastructure, and is a large place that has to be defended by the modern IT director. Ransomware itself is also growing exponentially. The stat here, 105% increase in ransomware attacks in Q1 of 2018 to Q1 of 2019. And the ransom demands are going up exponentially. There's a new ransomware group out there that the U.S. tried to keep out of the U.S. cyber infrastructure, but they thought they had them, but I just saw an article, they made their way in, and their ransom start at over $1 million. So that's not something you want to mess with. And detect and response basics, is the products that are out there mainstream are looking for the bad guys, detecting them, and then responding, which that sounds good, but why do you want to have to try to put out a fire once it's started? Let's just make sure it never happens before. But as you probably know, there's some challenges with that. Antiviruses work on kind of legacy type technologies, looking for signatures, and trying to keep those up to date. The bad guys know that, and they've developed their products, these modern threats, to get around them. So what we're seeing now today is that these threats have evolved. Malware is something that comes across. There's malware as a service now, as I mentioned, and they're polymorphic to where if you've got an antivirus, you've got something that is looking for that signature, it's not going to help because they're just going to change the signature on you. So looking at the endpoints, traditionally antivirus is that way to go. But again, we just said that's not 100% effective. Looking at product stats out there, a corporate level, enterprise level antivirus is about 65% effective. If you move into the new endpoint detection and response type products, those can get into 70%, but still it's not 100%. And those things fail open, meaning, if they don't identify the bad guy, they let that process run and does whatever it wants to. Some organizations will implement whitelisting, allowing only certain programs to run, but that's a huge overhead cost. And now it creates a lot more management and a lot more points of failure that can be exploited by an attacker. Some people are wanting to use antivirus because they're told that they have to through their compliance, that there's legal ramifications if they don't. But again, an antivirus is only 60 to 70% effective, and antivirus EDR are tools, but they're never 100% effective. And so conversations we have with business leaders and IT directors is, what if you could, click on that attachment that comes in your email and not worry about it taking over your computer or compromising your data? What if you could not worry about that phishing campaign that's going to come to your employee that's brand new and doesn't know any better and accidentally, compromises the organization? What if your IT team could get 20 to 25% of their productivity back and take that effort and, reallocate that from firefighting to building an organization, building a network infrastructure that's going to support your staff and the supporting of your customers and be able to allow you to bring on and support more customers? What if you could eliminate the fear and the threat of ransomware and all malware 100%, not 70%, not 90%, but 100%? Would you do that? And the answer is, of course you would. And how do you do that? Really, it's going about it from solving the problem from a different angle. This is a product. It is software, but it's not antivirus. It's something that is based on zero trust security principles, And as I mentioned at the beginning, was originally developed with the Department of Defense and is designed to ensure that these machines never get impacted by any kind of malicious software or attacker. It's a patented technology. It's designed for Windows and Linux, and it actually controls every process that happens within the Windows kernel. So now when you get that malicious email, you can click on it and the malicious part never executes. And it doesn't matter if it's a custom written malware or 0-day non-discovered malware, it still stops it 100%. If you're not familiar with zero trust, just some things that to be aware of. There's 3 things that we can't trust within a network. We can't trust the users. No matter how much we train them, mistakes happen. People get stressed out. They get busy. They accidentally click on something. Close to 100% of all malicious attacks that happened in 2019 actually involved the user at some level. We also know we can't trust applications, whether you're talking Microsoft Windows, the software of the operating system, or programs like Word and Excel and Zoom, even this one that we're on right now. They're flawed. There's vulnerabilities being discovered all the time, and a lot of times they're weaponized in what's called 0-day threats before the makers of that software can secure them. So you definitely can't trust the applications. And really the endpoints in general, as we said earlier, becoming the big attack vector where you've got the users, you've got the applications, and there's that area there that can be exploited and allow an attacker in. So knowing that we can't trust those things, how do we make sure we're 100% secure? Well, with this endpoint protection, it enforces that zero trust mindset across the application. So what it's doing is only allowing certain things to happen. And this is different than whitelisting. So whitelisting, as I said earlier, it's cumbersome. It allows certain programs to run. Those programs can still be exploited. What we're doing is we're taking, if you picture a computer doing everything possible in the world, told by anybody in the world, whether that's a user, a program, or an outside attacker, it's going to do it for you unless an antivirus says, hey, probably shouldn't. We're taking that infinite amount of things and zeroing it down to a very small subset of actions that you want that computer to take within your organization. So we start with what applications do you want them to run? But we also say, hey, that Word document is only designed to open files, edit files, and save files. Anything outside of that, it's not allowed. So you get a malicious Word document that starts to call other processes, other scripts, even built-in Windows things like PowerShell. It's never going to execute those things. It's stopped at the processor level, and you don't have to worry about scanning for the latest threat or constantly scanning the disk and eating up resources. It just keeps that policy so tight that that nothing's going to happen accidentally or even maliciously from one of your employees. Also, another patented application of this is separation of what we call user space versus system space. So a user is allowed to work within the user space. So they can open files and save files within that. A hijacked application or malicious code wants to jump from user space to system space, which is where the operating system and the programs and that type of thing sit. We make sure that never happens. So now, you can open that file and that it's never going to cut across into that space. So features here, I said again, this is patented technology originally built in conjunction with the Department of Defense and Microsoft back in 2014. It's the only product that can say it's been 100% effective, both in laboratory tests as well as in the wild for those 6+ years now that it's been in use. It does use zero trust security principles to isolate the operating system. It's super lightweight. You barely don't even know it's there. It's replacing the Windows kernel, so it's acting as if it's part of the operating system. And it's the only product out there that's truly preventative. It's not a scan and stop type of a thing, detect and respond. It is preventative 100%. And it's also future-proof because again, we don't need to know what that attack is going to be in the future. we know it's coming after your computer. So by ensuring the computer can only take certain actions, by virtue of doing that, we're eliminating everything else from happening on it, including every kind of malicious zero-day or custom-written threat. Another patented trademark of this is the isolation inheritance policy, which illustrates how you can, a user can find themselves in kind of a sticky situation where they get an email that says, "Hey, you've got a file here." It opens up a browser and maybe it calls a PDF viewer, Adobe or something else, or maybe it's Word, Excel, and that's what delivers the malicious content. Well, this technology, because we know that kind of stuff is risky, it's not only protected, but it's very scrutinized so that there's no way additional child processes can be spawned off of that will do anything to jeopardize the system. And really what we're talking about is moving from a paradigm of, detect and respond to ensuring you're secured. Friend of mine likes to say, zero trust is security with a period versus detect and response being security with a question mark. And as you can see in this illustration here, it kind of outlines the life of a support professional that on the left-hand side is in a defense in depth scenario that's been compromised and an attacker's into the system executing a ransomware across the organization, and now they've got to try and contain and respond and recover from that incident. To where on the right hand side, because our product is 100% effective, not only with active malware but preventing anything from occurring to begin with, now it just becomes a blip on the screen to say, "Hey, look at that, somebody tried to execute a ransomware and it never happened." That allows you to log that, track that user down, and figure out what happened. Was it intentional? Was it accidental? Maybe that user needs some more training to understand that this type of thing is not a secure situation. But in any case, you're not trying to recover and having to scramble from a situation that got out of control. This allows your IT team to stay lean, to stay focused on what's going to enhance the business, rather than buying more fire extinguishers and fire trucks just to keep putting out fires. And it changes the posture of, stopping to perpetually chase threats to having a posture of we're secure and we know we're good moving forward, and be able to focus that time, energy, and resources on things that's going to help grow the business and make it effective for your clients and your people. So this again is something we're excited to bring down from the federal government level down into critical infrastructure across the Midwest of the United States and beyond. So we're happy to have any confidential consultations about this technology, educate you on what this is all about, because zero trust up until now has been kind of fictitious. However, it has been implemented and specifically built for the federal government for more than 20 years. So rather than trying to go with some kind of new product that just got invented, you can have access through us to grab onto this technology and solve specific use cases across your organization with your endpoints and other network resources to ensure that they're not compromising the organization and finding yourself on the front page of the newspaper at some point in the future. So we're excited to shore up these businesses and allow them to grow their client base and their profits, and appreciate Chris and Bob and Oxenane to help us get the word out. So thanks so much.
Super. Thanks for sharing, Tony. And thank you, the market, for listening. This has been an Oxenane brief. CHIPS is a technology success provider that we are honored to be able to represent in the marketplace. In addition to Tony's contact information there, if we can provide more information to have discussions with you as an IT professional or as a business owner, please reach out to us per our contact information that's on this website. You can call us at 612-695-9176 or our website, oxenane.com, spelled AUXENANE.com. ANEIN.com, or email us info@oxinane.com. Until next time, this has been an Oxinane Business Brief. We'll see you soon. Thank you.